And today we're going to be discussing Laid Back Camp, the latest season that has recently come out. And I am kind of just stoked to talk about it. I love Laid Back Camp.
I am honestly shocked it took us this long to get to it. Let's be
Yeah.
real, but also I control the schedule, so if anything, you can blame me, and it'll be acceptable, I guess. Maybe I don't know. Sorry, I'm pulling up the stream on my phone because I got to support us.
Mm. But yeah, so Laid Back Camp, most of the background that for the show we've done on previous podcast episodes. So if you are curious about all of the background that we normally do, go and check out those ones. I also haven't done any drop rate for this season and stuff because I kind of find it sort of irrelevant, honestly, when it comes to third seasons and stuff, because like people that want to watch it are going to watch it. They already know what the content is. You don't get that raw, like, people just exploring and seeing if they like it and then dropping it, you know? So, like, I don't really see the point in doing it so much for later seasons, you know?
Yeah, no, I 100% get that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, yeah, we watch it. Everybody else has watched it. If it's a post first season, you're only going to be watching it if you enjoyed it or if you're looking to shit on something. Although you can't shit on stuff now like you used to.
No.
Crunchyroll.
Yeah. So if you didn't see our short that we posted, shameless promo. Crunchyroll has in fact disabled comments, which is honestly this is watching this season was the first time I went on Crunchyroll since the comments had been disabled, and I still had the tab up and it hadn't refreshed, so I had comments for the first 3 episodes, and then Crunchyroll logged me out halfway through an episode.
Bastards.
And I had to log back in again and there were no comments, and I was like, that's so rude. Okay.
That's incredibly rude. Who
Yeah,
the hell?
mid-episode
So
as
rude?
well. Like, not even, they couldn't even wait until the end of an episode. They just booted me.
Yeah, no, that rude. How dare they?
Yeah. So yeah, no comments anymore. And I used to look at the comments for things to say on the podcast all the time. Like, people would have such really good opinions.
And they did have really good opinions. Now, granted, I never talked about the comments just because it never was like, I don't know. I'm very opinionated. Obviously, that's why we have this podcast. I'm just going to speak whatever bullshit comes to my mind. But again, it was one of those things of, I enjoyed reading the comments, especially on the shit that I watched week to week. Like, take Konosuba as the most recent iteration of this. The Konosuba comments are unhinged and hilarious, especially on a week to week basis. And I loved it.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah, there are so many times when you go to the comments, it's like, see you guys next week. Like, it's you end up seeing the same people over and over again in the comments. You end up having like multiple conversations with them. I often referenced comments when speaking on the podcast of like, I didn't notice this thing until a comment pointed it out and I went back and looked for it, or this was my initial opinion until I saw a devil's advocate in the comments and I want to know what you think. Like, I thought the conversations in Crunchyroll comments I never saw anything really unhinged or like crazy. Occasionally you would get opinions that I just very much didn't agree with, but like on YouTube videos, you pretty much always get at least 3 or 4 comments that are just wrong. They're just like out there and like clearly rage baiting or trolling, right? They're not, no human would actually think those things, or at least no human with a functioning brain would. But on Crunchyroll, I never really saw that very much, It was the vast majority of the time, I think pretty much all of the time for the things that I watched, the comment sections were just like nice, just people talking about their opinions of the show and what they were watching, and always relevant to the topic. Like, it was maybe 2 or 3 times I saw somebody say something that was really out of pocket, but definitely not enough to where I don't think like a simple AI filter system could get rid of anything that was unhinged. I don't get why they're saying that they are deleting the comment section because they want to promote a safe community, when pretty much all I saw in the comments was a safe community.
I think from what I read, the reason they did this is because there was a BL anime that came out this season that
Mm,
I shit you not, as soon as the first episode dropped, like it got absolutely shit on.
mm,
And I didn't read enough into it as to why or what caused it or what about that anime in particular it was as to why people were going so hard in on it. And again, I don't know if it was just because it was a BL anime or what the
mm.
issue is, but here's the thing. If it was because of that, Given never got that same treatment or anything
No.
else along those lines. Like nothing else has triggered that kind of guttural reaction. And
Mm,
so again, I have not read any more into it. Other than that, all I know is it was within like 24 hours of that episode dropping and seeing like how hard it was getting, shit on, and then boom, the comments were gone.
right.
So
Yeah, that makes sense, especially if those comments were hate comments and against like LGBT stuff. Like I get fully understand that. I don't see how disabling all comments is the right move though, because that doesn't promote healthy discussion and it doesn't um it's to me it's like when one kid in the classroom fucks up and then the whole class gets like, okay, nobody is going on a field trip or whatever, like everybody gets punished for one kid messing up, right?
yeah.
And I don't see how that promotes a healthy environment.
hmm
I just see how that shuts down the conversation, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No,
Like,
I agree.
yeah, if I were on the team, I would turn off comments on that anime for the time being. And then implement an AI system or whatever banning all words that are just not appropriate to be having in the comment section. And then I would be I don't know, like I would just be I would talk to the community, honestly. I would probably do a poll on Twitter or X or whatever, like I would try and send out emails even to people who hold Crunchyroll subscriptions and see if you can get people to do a survey on what us as anime watchers want. Because I've seen so many comments of people being like, on our post that we posted on TikTok and YouTube, but also on other things, articles and stuff written about the Crunchyroll comment section. I've seen so many people being like, I'm not renewing my Crunchyroll subscription anymore because my favorite part of the platform was the comment section. And on pirating platforms, there are comment sections. So I was paying for Crunchyroll because I wanted to support, and I enjoy the comment section. But now I don't see the point of paying for Crunchyroll when the reason why I wanted to watch it on there was because of the comments, and I can pirate it for free with a comment section, right? So I don't know if they're just kind of shooting themselves in the foot here. I don't know. Let us know your thoughts and opinions about it, because yeah, I definitely see it as being a hit to the anime community, not a positive. And I don't see how it's a positive for the LGBT community either. This feels like I don't want to hear it thing, as opposed to a let's actually talk about it thing.
Yeah, no, and I feel like that's like them doing this was a, gross overreaction to whatever happened. And again, I get it. If somebody is, bashing, one member of the, anime community, especially the LGBTQ community, like I get trying to take measures to protect those watchers because they are like a, you know, good chunk of the fan base and you want to, protect your own and protect the fan base. However, there were other ways to do that than to get rid of, your watchers, like one of their favorite parts of it. Because again, just the outpouring that we've seen from the community on the posts that we've made, let alone, other people's posts, somewhere, it's it's heartbreaking to
Mm,
see, just to see like how upset people are
hmm
over this. And again, like I get it because I really enjoyed the comment section as well, even though I never partook. Like I really enjoyed reading it, and it's just like it sucks to see it go for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's in my opinion is that this feels like Crunchyroll doesn't want to be involved in the conversation and they kind of want to take a strategic step back. If they ban all comments, they don't have to take a side on whether or not they support or what they don't support. And in today's political climate, being so turbulent as it is, especially around LGBTQ plus issues, um, it feels like they just don't want to be involved. That's what it feels like. It feels like I don't want anything to do with this conversation. The best way for me to not have anything to do with this conversation is to just ban any conversation happening. And then they don't have to alienate a possible side of their audience that is very hateful towards the LGBT plus community. And then they also don't have to show like they're not alienating their LGBTQ plus community, if that makes sense. Like it feels like a non-answer. It feels like if we just don't talk, then we can't be part of the equation. But I don't think they realize that not taking a stand is actually taking a stand.
Yeah,
So,
and it could
yeah.
also be a matter of maybe it wasn't even a Crunchyroll decision
Yeah.
with Crunchyroll being purchased by Sony. That could just be a Sony thing. If Sony was like, yeah, no, just get rid of it completely.
Yeah.
Just bye-bye.
Yeah.
So
And Sony has a lot of fingers and a lot of pies, and a lot of those are political. So take with that what you will.
yeah, so again, I don't know.
Yeah.
I definitely think that there is just a much better way to handle it, and it was
Mm.
handled very, very poorly.
And
So
very suddenly, like nobody knew.
yeah, no, again, the amount of comments that we got on those posts of being like, well, thanks for telling us because we had no fucking idea.
Yeah. So I'm very interested to see at the end of July or beginning of August if there's any news on their like stocks or like I don't really know much about that kind of thing, but like when the Crunchyroll subscriptions renew, how many people actually followed through on not renewing, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's another thing I'm curious about because we did get a lot of comments over people saying like, yes, I'm going to cancel my subscription over this. So I'm quite curious just because of you know that or if people were just mad in the moment and then they actually let it breathe for a while and then they're like, yeah, I don't have means of pirating anime, or if you're like me and you're too stupid to pirate anime, then it's just kind of it's one of those things. So I
Yeah.
don't know, but I am curious to see what the fallout of this is legitimately
Mhm.
going to be, and if there's a way to actually check those metrics just to again see if there is any true fallout to it.
Yeah. Well, I have to start wondering if platforms like YouTube are going to start making contracts with um, studios to start streaming anime because we've already seen it on Netflix and Disney Plus and anime's kind of everywhere, right? But YouTube has been kind of leaning more towards having full productions as well and promoting movies and renting things. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some anime being officially released on YouTube.
Well, there are some animation studios that have released their entire catalogs to YouTube for free to be
Mm-hmm.
consumed.
Yeah.
So, like, if I'm not mistaken, I think the entire Sailor Moon catalog is on YouTube to be watched. So, if you ever bored and want to watch Sailor Moon, it's on here. Find it, watch it. It's
Yeah.
God, I love Sailor Moon so much.
Yeah. But anyway, back to laid back camp because we tangented for a second there.
Nah, you know what? We haven't even talked about what we've done this week, and I want to talk about it.
That's true. So what have you done this week?
I played D&D.
Nice.
I didn't DM D&D, mind you. That's on the 18th. No. I played D&D this past Sunday. It's the first time I've actually played in years. I've been the forever DM for years, and that streak has finally broken. And it was fun. I had a blast. Although I felt bad.
Oh.
Because I So as a DM, like I for one never want to railroad my actual players. Like that's not something I would ever want to do because it's like I've told them from the very beginning of when, you and I created Althalia, the world that my guys are playing in. Like even though you and I created the world, it's their sandbox. They get to play in it and kind of do whatever it is that they want to do. And so trying to transition from that DM mindset into being a player for the online campaign that I was taking a part in with some friends, I don't want to railroad. Like I don't want to be the one that's like taking initiative and charging through and being like, let's do all of these things. But nobody else was doing it. So I kind of had to just be that guy. Now, granted, two of the people that we were playing with are brand new to D&D and have never touched it whatsoever. So I understand their trepidation to get into, jump in and test the waters. But it's just like I kind of felt bad to where after the session was all said and done, I was like, look, I am so sorry for, kind of taking initiative and kind of jumping through and doing all the things and being the pseudo leader. But but they're like, no, like somebody had to do it. So you did it. And I was like, okay, I still feel bad.
Yeah. I do feel like every D&D party kind of does need a director, I guess, even if it's not necessarily a leader, but like somebody to push scenes forward. And sometimes your DM will be amazing and will figure out ways to pull you through the story without needing that. But that's like they kind of have to have a very they kind of have to have a very specific line of a very specific direction that they're trying to take you in to kind of take the reins in that sense. So most of the time as players, you do just need that one person that's just like, look, guys, I got an idea. Let's go. Let's ride,
Yeah.
Because otherwise it can get really stagnant. And then you end up having those times like when you were a DM and you were really frustrated because your players did nothing the whole game and you were like, I have so much planned for this session and you haven't even left the room yet.
Yeah, no, and I still feel bad over those frustrations that I vented on this very podcast that I don't think ever made the light of day. I hope I cut that out because my players listen to this. But no, I was genuinely frustrated and now I kind of feel bad over that because for one, like I was also relatively new to DMing at that point. So there were probably things that I could have done better to help along those things. But I realized too, like nobody else, if you're trying to make the game as collective fun for everyone else, you don't want to impede on anybody else's fun. So I didn't want to step on anybody else's toes by taking the reign and doing all of those things. It just kind of turned into one of those things of, okay, somebody has to do this. So I'll do it. But at any point, if anybody wants to take those reins from me, like please feel free because I don't want to, sit there and be hogging all the fun, but also I love to improv. So give me any chance to, sit there and bullshit and help kind of make this world as robust as possible. Like I'm more than happy to do it. It's just again, there's also, a DM at play too, and I don't want to step on their toes either by, grabbing the reins and just trying to run with it. So I don't know. I felt like it was a really weird balance, but God, I enjoyed actually just being able to sit down and roll and play. And it was fun.
No, I'm glad you had a really good time with it. It's been, like you said, forever since you've actually just been able to play.
Yeah. So no, and I had to hog the spotlight of this podcast and talk about it.
No, I'm glad you got the chance to share.
Did you do anything fun this week?
Oh, not much. It's been sweltering here in Alberta and hot enough to where Brad says I can say it's warm. So.
Yeah, no, she sent me a picture of her thermometer and I was like, okay, I'll allow it.
Yeah. But it's been so hot here and the thing about anywhere further than like south of Montana, right? Like you don't have AC built into buildings because we have maybe 6 weeks of warm weather. And then we have like warmer weather, but not hot. You know, we don't get hot weather for more than a month and a half, maybe 2 months before it cools off again. Like it was only mid-June that we went into the 20s, right? Like we don't have a lot of warm weather up here in Canada. It's just not a thing. We do get summer. Obviously, we don't live in igloos all year round, but we don't have what I would consider to be like a really humid, drastic hot summers. You do sometimes more coastally, and like Toronto's a lot further south than out here in Alberta and stuff. But like for the most part, in general, we don't have long summers, so we don't have AC and stuff built into most houses and a lot of stores and a lot of things because it's just not needed for the vast majority of the time. So it's not built in. So then it's like an extra cost. And some people do choose to pay it, but like you then just have an AC unit in your house that you only use for 2 months out of the year, right? So,
Yeah.
So anyway, my point being, nothing up here is built for this kind of temperature. So when it gets hot like this consistently for a couple of days in a row, everyone's dying. And the ERs are packed from people with heat stroke. Nobody knows how to deal with it. It's like whenever it like snows down south and everyone's like, how do we drive? Like get the military in. We don't know what we're doing. The reverse up here. Nobody knows how to handle the heat. Everyone's getting heat stroke. Everyone's getting really badly burned. We've got like warnings going on the radio being like how to cool down your pets. Like it's a thing up here. So yeah, we've been dealing with that. So I haven't really had much energy to do much of anything. So I've just been staying down here in the basement painting and editing some different shorts that you've seen come out. And I did pitch my tent in the garden. That was one thing. It's relevant to today's topic. I have pitched my tent. I got a new tent at the end of last season. It's just a one-man tent to go in my hiking kit. And I got a new bedroll, so I laid that out to inflate, and that's been out for a couple of days to just see how it weathers and fares and stuff. And we're supposed to have a storm tonight, so I'm going to leave it out for the storm to see if it rains through, because it's not double layered, it's a one layer tent. So we'll see if it's waterproof. It should be in theory, but you never know. It was cheap. And hopefully then I get to like probably take it into the mountains and give it a good test drive. But we've only been out in the van this year, so I haven't been able to take my hiking stuff. I was still physio up until a little while ago. So
look at you going out and vamping and camping. I was so proud of the vamping.
Yeah. No, it's not quite glamping, but it's definitely vamping. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good enough.
I just kicked my light. But we don't. The last time that we went camping, there was a group that came. They took up 2 camp spots, and they had a generator. And I'm not kidding. I was like, that's not camping. That's a house on wheels, because they just had the generator running the whole time. They had like a bus that they'd converted. Like I was like, first of all, noise pollution. Like we're all trying to chill, and you've got a generator going. Like we're in the middle of the mountains. We're not going to see any wildlife because you scared them off. Like it was insane. It was genuinely insane. I've never seen people that decked out. Like you see some people with like nice RVs, but they were a house on wheels. That was a different ball game.
I don't know. I can't sit there and say that I would be too awful different, because I got to be selective about how I camp, because fucked up back and all that. So I don't know. Like I could be wrong. I also haven't been camping in such a long time, so I don't know. One thing I can say though is I am at least better than the peasants, because I can start a fire. Have I told you about that story about Walker going camping?
No.
Yeah, so they went camping for a weekend, and there was, I think, 4 or 5 of them that went. Not a single one of them could start a fire.
That's so foreign to me because I've been doing that since I was like an infant. So like I don't understand how you can't figure it out.
I mean, it's not that hard. Light a
Yeah.
piece of paper, take some like small stick, put a round paper, and then once the small sticks start burning, then you put slightly bigger stick and then slightly bigger stick
Yeah.
and then log.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
No, I don't get how that's not. I mean, okay, not everyone has the same education, but I just don't get how that's not kind of instinctual. Like I don't get how you can't like put two and two together and do it. You know? I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
like I
Caveman.
said, I learnt it when I was like 2. So like my parents are both campers. I was a scout growing up. Like I don't remember a time when I ever didn't know how to do that. So
I just like fire. Me,
that too.
caveman, fire good.
We also had a chimney and a proper wood fireplace in our house in the UK. So I did that a lot as a kid. So
That'll do it.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
But yeah,
now we can actually get back into camping now that
now we
we've
can talk about
ranted
more
and raved
camping.
about. Yeah, now that we've raved about what we have to talk about.
Yeah. Honestly, there's not much to say about laid back camping this time.
Laid
I'm
back
gonna be
camping.
real. It's the same as it's always been. They go camping. It's beautiful. The soundtrack's great. It's very funny. That's it.
We have new
End of review.
background though. New
Oh
studio
yeah.
did it this time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's it. Instead of it being done by C Station, who did seasons 1 and 2, Studio 8-Bit did this
Mm-hmm.
season.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's it. Oh, I'm still on the manga tab. Let me go back to the anime tab. Yeah, so it's same as it kind of always was. If you watch the film, this is obviously before that. So bear in mind that's not chronological. But yeah, I don't that I mean we'll put on spoiler chicken hats even though we're on a 3rd season, but chicken hats.
Hang on. I got the button around here somewhere. One moment. That's not it. It's been a while since I fucked that one up. There we go.
There we go.
Whoopsies.
But yeah, so same kind of thing as normal, really. It's Min going off doing her solo thing, and then Nareshko gets to go off and have quite a bit of her own solo time. And we get some fun time with trains, which is cool, a different side of things. And there are so many places that I want to add on to our Japan itinerary now where it's like we're gonna have to go back and we're gonna have to do a camping tour because like so many places I want to go now.
I kind of want to do that bridge tour. Let's be
Yeah.
real. I want to do that so
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, although I would get very sick being up on those bridges. I love heights. My body does not.
I hate heights, and my body hates heights.
Yeah, so we would both struggle.
It'd be fine. It's Japan. Like that's one thing I keep telling myself of like I'm doing all of this fucking work to get in better shape for Japan. And I'm like, even if I wasn't in better shape, even if I was still pushing the precipice of almost 400 pounds like I was at the start of this year, thank God I'm no longer at that because my body would be hating me doing the amount of shit that I'm doing right now. However, regardless, Japan is worth it. The 25 to 35,000 steps a day we're going to be taking, worth it. Could not care less about whatever my body is going to go through. Although, to combat that, that is why I rented us out an entire hot spring inn while we were in Kyoto, and I got us a rooftop hot tub for Osaka because we're going to be hurting.
Yeah. 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 No, that's one thing that in layback camp that I am so envious of, being someone who is a fairly regular camper. the hot springs that they and the onsen that they have just access to at pretty much every single camp spot, that they can just go and go to an onsen. Like, you're lucky if you get a shower here. Like, it's most places don't have running water. You got pit toilets and you just suck it up. Like, there's not that. I mean, there is like radium hot springs out here in Alberta, but I've never been. And I think there's probably a hot spring out in BC as well, but it's not like a thing. It's not. I don't know. Yeah, I wish it was. I wish that bathing was more part of the culture over here. And that sounds so gross. We don't bathe, but kind of.
You know what?
know,
Never
like...
mind. I'm canceling my trip to Edmonton. No longer going to the convention.
No, nobody bathes at the
good.
convention. That's a fact. Okay.
I listen. I'm so glad I have COVID nose.
No, the past couple times that I mean, it was years ago that I went to Animathon, but when I was there last, I don't remember it being particularly smelly. So I think people tend to have fairly decent hygiene, but also it's not as hot up here. So there's that to take into account too.
Yeah, I tried on all my cosplay today. Oh, I'm gonna be so fucking hot.
Yeah, I did wonder about that. I was like, you're gonna die.
It's fine.
You need to cut like ventilation holes in like your underlayers, and then when you cover them, you're like, nobody could tell. I cut ripped holes in them.
Nobody can tell. My clothes are holy.
You should have cosplayed as a priest or something.
Oh, not at an anime convention. It would be good.
But yeah, so yeah, I just wish that was more part of like the camping culture up here, because it's really not. And I would very much enjoy that. I know it is in parts of Europe as well, like I think in Scandinavia more. It's like, but again, it's places that tend to have more volcanic activity and have more hot springs around. But like, yeah, I wish that we had bathing, communal bathing as part of our culture. But yeah, like honestly, like it's such a fun thing. That sounds so weird, but like I think it's such a way to connect with people in a way that you don't over here. Like you don't like, I don't know, it feels more vulnerable. I mean, in a lot of ways, Japanese culture doesn't have that deep connection. Like you don't talk about a lot of deep things to your friends, from what I've heard. Like you tend to keep things pretty surface level. You don't want to burden other people with your feelings. Whereas out here we tend to share a lot more, but they have this bonding like physically, and they bond through other ways. And I think it's a shame that we don't embrace other ways of bonding with our friends, you know?
Yeah, no, I 100% get that.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I just feel like hygiene is not stressed nearly as enough in our cultures. Like obviously like basic hygiene's kind of one of those things, but it's so ingrained in Japanese society. Like you have to be, clean whenever you walk in places. Like they don't even want you to have holes in your socks whenever you take your shoes off to like go inside temples and inside places where you have to take your shoes off. Like you have to take your shoes off if you're going in anybody's house. Period. Like there are just so many things about being kept clean and whatnot, to where I feel like that's why it's such a huge culture, and that's why there's a lot of campsites and stuff set up around hot springs. Also, it's kind of a cheaper alternative for people who want to go to hot spring areas that can't afford inns and stuff like that, or would prefer to be in nature. It's kind of that extra option for them to be able to, get into something like that. But whereas here, for one, that's not something that anybody's going to, pay for, because it's a capitalist society and nobody's going to spend money on that. The government's obviously not going to spend tax money on that because they don't give a shit about us and their hygiene. Like if they're not profiting off of it, who gives a shit? And a lot of like privately owned campgrounds and stuff like that, they obviously don't give a shit because they're out to make a profit. Why would they offer you the ability to do that whenever that cuts into their profits, because they have to pay for that water and stuff that you're using? So again, like I hate that it is that way. And I feel like that's one of the main reasons as to why I don't camp, is because I hate being dirty. Like it's one of those things. Like I don't mind to get dirty. Like I work a very like dirty job. Like the other day, whenever I came home from work and was getting ready to take a shower, and I pulled my shirt off and dropped it and went, and I hate that noise. I hate it so much. Like whenever my shirt is that soaked, it goes like, oh, heebie-jeebies. But again, it's one of those things to where it's just not like it's not. I don't know. And so just because I hate, that feeling of being like dirty and grimy and gross, when you're camping, that's all it is. Like that's like you're kind of stuck with it because the ability to get clean, like it just really isn't there unless you want to go jump in a stream. And even then you're not really getting clean. You're just kind of, barely rinsing the surface off. And also you might get bit by a turtle. I don't fucking know.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think that I don't think we see it as a like a spiritual thing, not necessarily like spiritual, like religious spiritual, but spiritual as in self-care spiritual thing. Like it's rarer to hear about people taking a bath to relax and stuff out here, but in a lot of Asian countries, it's something you do on the daily. Like your time when you have that, time to yourself is just a moment where you get to just completely decompress from the day. And a lot of people here enjoy that. We hear about it fairly frequently, people being like, oh, a shower is like my reset, or like, so we enjoy it, but it's not a cultural thing. And I do think that it sucks. I wish it was more of a thing. I wish it was more of a thing at campgrounds. It's like I said, it's rare to find a place with showers that are like straight up campgrounds. And I think that's why RV camping, another reason why RV camping is so popular, is because then people get their own space where they get to have that showering cleanliness, that they get to like they get their own space. But I also think that there's a level of as a culture, we would be shocked to bathe together. Like to bathe with a stranger would be very bizarre out here. And I think that's a lot to do with the fact that our cultures tend to put an emphasis of adulthood on the physical form, as opposed to just having the human body be a neutral state, if that makes sense. I'm trying to word this in a way to where this is being broadcasted directly to YouTube. We have a opinion on what nudity is, and we don't see it enough to allow it to be anything but. Because in the times when we do see just the human form unclothed, is usually only for that purpose, right? Like it's not even in media, in films or whatever, like if you see exposed humans, it's usually in those scenes, like it's rare that it would be a neutral feeling scene. So we don't really have any part of our culture that allows the human form in its unclothed appearance to just be that, just a body, right? Whereas in Asia and a lot of other places in the world, you see it so often with things like communal bathing that obviously it still does have that adult implication, but more specifically within those times. And then you get it more so across genders, which can be a little bit more. That's a whole other conversation when you bring in the LGBTQ side of things. But for the most part, it's just a bonding thing between individual groups. And I wish that there was a way that we could do it to where you could just like have baths out here, communal baths, where you could maybe rent the space if you were uncomfortable doing it with complete strangers. Or like, I don't know. I just wish that there was a way that we could implement it now without it becoming an adult only experience. But I don't know how you would do that without already having that as a part of your culture since the beginning of time. Like, I don't know how we would implement it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree, because I think that, you know, American culture as a society is kind of too far gone in a way to where that could be implemented and it be, constructive for community growth and stuff like that, just because of, the way that things already are, and the shape that a lot of, you know, things, and, just the overall, mental psyche of a lot of people here. I don't believe that it would be a conducive environment, especially in, like my part of the world and stuff like that, because I feel like it would get a lot of negative connotations in a lot of ways. And again, I personally don't think it could be regulated in a way to where it could be safe for any parties involved. And I think that would ultimately be the issue, is just because of the way that our society is. I don't believe it could be done in a safe manner for all parties involved.
Yeah. And I wonder if this is an issue that we don't hear about within cultures that do have a communal bathing thing being part of their culture, because we do see it sometimes crop up in anime. We see tropes of creepy characters looking through or trying to get a glimpse into usually the women's side of the bathing areas. A fantastic example of that is from My Hero Academia with Midori, is it? Who's trying
Mineta?
to like Mineta, who's trying to like climb up or like look through the holes of and he's using the balls on his head to like climb up and everything. And it's a skit and it's funny because he's trying to peek at people without their consent, right? So we do see it crop up as an issue, as there being an issue of safety and privacy sometimes, but it's always taken with a comedic tone. So I wonder if it's just there are issues with it and we just aren't familiar with them because we aren't familiar with the environment as a whole. I don't know. Like it's something that I definitely want to experience in my lifetime, and I wanna like be a part of a culture that just has a more neutral take on the physical appearance. And I don't know, it's a conversation worth having. And I think but I do think the best way that you could possibly implement it would be in things like camping, because having a communal bath in the mountains for campers seems like it could be more like, first of all, it's going to be less people because not many people go to begin with. And then you would have park wardens around. Like, I don't know. I don't know if you could even regulate it. I mean, like I said, we do have hot springs, but I feel like they would still be like partially clothed, like bikini wearing. I don't know. Basically, I don't know. And I know that in Europe and in quite a lot of places, it is just the way of life, that it has been that way for thousands of years. It was that way in Britain, but it phased out. Like you can go and see like in Bath. Funnily enough, you can see baths in Bath, and and you can see where like the Romans did it and stuff, but like it's not a thing there now. I don't know. It makes me sad for a part of our culture that we lost.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree because the hot springs we have here are all privatized to
Mm.
where they have, campsites set up to where you rent a like remote style cabin where they have like out on a deck or just like their own private um, you know, tubs or whatever that you can get in and soak that you can rent by the hour, by the evening, or however you want to look at it. But it's individually pumped in. So, you run it like a bath and, you do it from there. It's not like what you get in Japan with like the whole rock layouts and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So again, with it all being, privatized and stuff like that, I personally don't think it's something we could ever see. Probably not even in our lifetimes, even if that, change did start to happen. I don't think we personally would ever see it,
Hmm.
which is again incredibly unfortunate because I would be fine with bathhouses and stuff like that. And that's one of the things that I think is really cool about Japan and something that, I wish or that I thought would be cool if that were something that we could do. It's just I had to be mindful of what I got us since you have tattoos and wanted to be sure that we could still have that experience.
Mm.
While,
I only have one tattoo, and it could be covered, but yeah.
true. I don't
Yeah,
know. I just
but it
wanted to
is still a
make
thing.
things as simple as possible.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
No, I
I don't
agree.
know.
Yeah. I actually did consider that. I was like, how can I cover it? And I was like, I could just put a big old band-aid on it, like a waterproof band-aid on it. But then I was like, would people then think I'm icky for trying to go into a bath with a possible cut? And I'm like,
And
and
that's
then I was
why I
thinking,
just rented us a whole inn.
yeah, uh, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, back to laid back camp because we went on a whole tangent again. Uh,
It's one of those things to where I feel like, having these conversations is probably more conducive for the podcast than talking about laid back camp because they camp. Like
yeah, literally,
it's
that's it.
cute girls doing cute things, and
Yeah.
that's part of the appeal of it. Also, I watched this dubbed. It's the first time I've actually watched the show dubbed, and dude, those voice actresses had to be having the time of their life because
Yeah.
they were having so much fun with the different vocal inflections and everything. Like, God, they had to be having a blast because
Oh,
I
good.
I pretty much watched this with a grin on my face the entire time, just because it seemed like it was so much fun. Like, even like I said, from a voiceover perspective, like it was just a great time to just sit down and watch. And it's cozy, it's comfy. It's like you were talking about earlier with the art style and the background visuals and the music and everything. Everything is just so conducive for a phenomenal time. I don't know. I had a fucking blast.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. I think the things that make laid back camp super charming have definitely transferred over to this new studio's work. Um, it's just a very easy consumable show, and it's one of those shows that just it's a perfect background show. You could be doing anything while this is on, and because there's no plot, you can just come back and know exactly what's happening. And I think that's perfect. That's exactly what this show is designed to be, and it's so well executed. This show isn't going to be one that you know, obsess over for forever, but it is one that every time you watch it on, it's like a breath of fresh air, which is exactly what they're trying to do. It's about camping. They want to give you a breath of fresh air. And it really does just spark that inspiration to go outside and want to do things outside. It makes you want to stop watching the anime so you can go and experience it for yourself. And there's such an incredible talent in making a show so bingeable, but make you excited to leave the show and experience the world. I think this show does that perfectly. I genuinely want to go outside and go hiking and camping like right now. Like it's so cool how it does that. I also have found that all of the camping tips are legit. Some of them are not applicable to out here in North America. For instance, in this season, we get a tutorial on how to make a alcohol stove, and it's basically an open flame stove. And those are a no-go pretty much all of North America because of the amount of wildfires that we get. So you're going to get park rangers coming up to you being like, no, none of that. You cannot be having an open flame. So there are things like that that are just not applicable, but that doesn't mean the information is wrong. It just means that it's not right to your area. But as someone who, like I said, I've been camping my entire life. My parents have been camping for many years. They literally honeymooned in Canada for a month camping out here before they moved us out here because, yeah, that's what they wanted to do for their honeymoon. Like, my family have always been very outdoorsy. Like I said, I was a scout. Camping is in my blood. I love it. I haven't noticed anything in the show that is factually wrong. I've noticed some things that I wouldn't personally do. I think there are easier ways to do them. But I don't think that there's anything that's necessarily wrong. I'm very interested with the stick fire that they created, that Rin created, and she was doing the flashbacks with her granddad, where they were pushing the stick on like a flat grooved log with some sawdust to get that to smoke and spark. I've never seen that done. I do know that the one that you roll between your hands doesn't work because you can't do it fast enough to get the friction. So you would get two logs with like little divots in them, two half logs or two planks, or a rock and a log. And then you would get like a stick that's shaped like a bow, a piece of string, and then a stick going through. And then you push the stick along the bow that's kind of twisted. So it's like in the middle of the bowstring. And then it rolls. And then you could do it a whole lot faster. If that's probably, I explained that probably very badly, but
no, I get what you're saying. I know what type of thing you're referring to. I know
because you can't.
Now
Sorry,
you're fine with the method that Rin did with the actually running the stick along the groove. I personally haven't tried that, although I do think that would be possible because the entire time it's getting friction.
Yeah.
So therefore, I think, and having, run things, back and forth across surfaces, I know how easy it is for that to get hot. Now, granted, you will probably work yourself to death trying to do that, similar to how Ren was, because she was very exhausted doing that.
Yeah.
I could 100% see that actually working and doing the job that you wanted to do. I would be curious to try it. It's just I would be real tired.
Yeah. No, it makes me curious to try it as well, but I don't know if you would get a log dry enough out here to be able to do it. It would definitely have to be one of those things where you have a log from home that's been drying out for time. Because if you're just pulling a log off the log pile, no, you're going to have a bad time. It's not going to light. So, yeah, I'm very curious to see if that would actually work, and it makes me want to try it. But that's, like I said, that's the magic of laid back camp, is they show you techniques and they show you things that you're like, well, damn, now I have to go and figure that out.
let's just take a camping trip to Japan. Just let's do it. Why not?
For sure. The second time that we go back, I definitely want to hike a lot of Japan, even cycle a lot of Japan. I would like to go to a lot more rural areas. Obviously, we're hitting like the big three when we go for the first time, but I definitely want to go like, I know we both said that we wanted to go to every prefecture. So yeah, when we go to those rural areas, I would love to hike a lot of it. And
I mean, I will be in a lot better hiking shape by then, so I'm totally down.
Nice.
Also, I feel like that will give us an opportunity to, because I know whenever we said we wanted to go back in 26, we wanted to go for the cherry blossoms, and I feel like that would allow us an opportunity to see a lot more in a lot less touristy areas. Because we could see a lot more, I guess, like wild cherry blossoms that aren't, maintained for tourists, and also just be able to explore a lot more, because it's one of those things to where I definitely want to visit all of the prefectures, and also I just kind of want to see everything that Japan has to offer in general outside of the, metropolises that we're going to be going to, minus Kyoto, because I know Kyoto's a lot more traditional
Mm.
than a lot of the, the other two big places to go. So I'm very curious.
Yeah. Yeah, I am as well. I definitely want to check out some of their older trains. That looks so cool going through some of
Yep.
those trains. And I know what it's like doing that out here in the mountains, up in the Rockies. So I want to see what that's like in other countries as well. I've obviously done that in Europe quite a bit too. So it would be nice to do that in a different world. It feels like it at least. And I don't know, yeah, I enjoyed a lot of the shenanigans again in this season of Layback Camp. That's consistent. They had less of the animated inanimate objects in this season than they did in the first season, so it feels a little bit less gimmicky, I guess, for lack of a better word, because even the tips and stuff that they were giving seemed more grown, which I appreciate. I feel like it's then the show kind of growing a little bit with the teenagers as they grow and learn themselves.
Yeah, because I was gonna say they were definitely older. Like I don't know if it was like the first two seasons they were in middle school and now they're in high school,
Mm.
or if the first season they were, in their first year of high school and now they're in their final year of high school. Like they had obviously grown, so I could 100% see that, and I definitely noticed the more mature feel to the show. But also, I feel like that definitely added to the charm for
Mm-hmm.
me this go around because it just felt more, I don't know, I guess more simplistic. Like the art style was still simplistic while also being absolutely gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed the style of the OP and ED as
Agreed.
well, not including the music because the music throughout the show was just very, very enjoyable. But and again, I don't know if this was a dub thing because I know you said you didn't get as much of the, animated inanimate objects this go around, but I felt like in the dub there was so much of like the little inanimate objects talking and stuff this time. Like that was part of the bit that I found so enjoyable was, again with the when they had the bit about the train cars merging with the one
Oh
that
yeah.
actually pushed it up the hill, like whenever it connected, it's like sup. And
Yeah.
then all the rest of the little train cars were like, hey, 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 like
It
all that
was
type of thing.
it was subbed as they were mating, which was hilarious.
That is fucking hilarious.
Yeah. So that was there were a couple of things that was done with the sub that I think made it more mature as well. And that was there were a couple of jokes that were like that were just um they would go over a younger audience's head, but they were very subtly innuendos, and that was very funny.
And I that's why I feel I'll have to go back and watch it subbed. The only reason I watched it dubbed is because I have spent way too much fucking time working on shorts and reels and videos and shit to where that's consumed way too much of my time. I'm not even gonna remotely talk about how much time that fucking Nokotan short took me. Just the short took me over 2 hours. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah, same for the Crunchyroll disabled comments. Sure. Took
Yeah,
so
and
long trying to get
there's
all those assets ready.
uh-huh. And here's the thing, right? There has to be an easier way to do this. And I am way too fucking stupid to figure it out. So, and I will figure it out eventually. I have really smart friends that will, help show me these things. So it'll just take time, but for the meantime, no, it's taking me way too long to do this. So I will go back and watch it sub just to, see those little individual things. But they brought back the bit of the pine cone screaming whenever you lit it on fire, and that tickled me because just little recurring bits like that to where like whenever they pick up the pine cones, it's all happy, like yay, and then you set it on fire and it's ah.
Yeah. Yeah, another thing that I really loved is the addition of those side characters that you occasionally see where they just come in their other campers. Because that
Mhm.
is so true to actual camping that you just meet nice people who are um also fans of the outdoor community, and they're just like casually they'll sit down and have a chat with you, or you'll meet them on a train or whatever, you'll ask to borrow some wood or a lighter or something because you forgot it, and they'll help you out. Like, there's so many times when that happens, and I love the inclusion of that in the show. I also loved the advice, because you get the advice of leave nothing behind as if you were there, but the idea of leave nothing behind as though a hitman is chasing you is so much better. And I will use that from now on. Treat the site as though a hitman is after you. Absolutely. Done.
Oh, you'll have to let me know how mom and dad take to that.
They'll love that.
I'm very curious.
Yeah, just pretend a hitman is after you, leave no traces.
God, that's so perfect. Oh. God, I enjoy the show so much.
It's so
I
good.
had such a blast.
Yeah, me too.
What do
you give it?
You stole my line.
Haha.
You beat me to it. 9.
I'm with you. I think it's a solid 9 for me. The show is so good. I don't even know what I would specifically like work on it to make it up to a 10. It just I don't know. Maybe it's okay, I tell you. The CGI animation blend of Rin on her scooter, or like the couple times when you see those, is noticeable enough for my anime reviewing brain to kick in and go, see what they did there? They did a thing, So again, general viewing experience, won't care, don't care. Reviewing brain, care.
For me, it's I don't know, like there's not enough substance to where like the show just like has that death grip in me that won't let me go. Like Oshinoko, for instance, like still solid 10. That will never change, at least for now. But like that show just has a death grip and won't let us go. Like we don't watch Laid Back Camp week to week.
No.
We
agreed.
You watch Oshinoko week to week. That's the biggest difference is you watch it week to week. Yeah. And so that to me is what solidifies something like Oshinoko as a 10, whereas this, like, it's a 9. There's absolutely nothing about it that I would change, but it doesn't have what it takes to like push it up to the 10 category for me. I could even probably give it like a 9.5. It's just like it does not reach the mark of a 10 to me personally. But
I'm with you.
For what it is, it's a perfect show.
Yeah, like that makes sense to me. Like it kind of feels like, I guess it's like a movie to a book, if that makes sense. Laid Back Camp is the thing that gets you to go outside and go camping yourself. The movie is the thing that gets you to read the book if you've never heard of it before, right? Like it's a fork for the food. It's not the food itself.
Yeah, no, I 100% get that.
Yeah. So I kind of see it as just a fancy tourism brochure for Japan. Like that's kind of how I see the show. And I think that's why we both enjoy it so much. But it's also why it doesn't feel substantial, is because you just want to go and do it yourself afterwards.
And you see, that's the thing. Like we've watched a lot of, other things that we've talked about it, where it's like this feels like it was designed to, get people to do this thing. Or it's like we talked about with that one piece of shit anime, Dive. Mm-hmm. Yeah, where it seemed like it was just a, poster child for diving for the Olympics. Which again, if that was what it was for, then fine, whatever. But it's still garbage. But this is, if it is designed to be a, tourist trap for camping in Japan, perfection. Like could not be done any better. And again, if that's what it's designed for, then it is a perfect show in those regards. And for what it is a perfect show. It's not, to me, what my perfect show is.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm fully with you on that.
But great show, amazing time, love it. Will 100% watch the next season whenever it comes out, if it has another one, or hell, I could revisit the show at any time. The whole time I was watching this, I was just like, damn, I missed the show.
Yeah. It's a comfort show for us for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
What we want to do next week?
I don't know. What are we doing next week?
I don't know. We've got Power Ranger anime, we've got Demon Slayer. God, there's a lot of stuff we could do. But
let's do let's do the Power Ranger anime, unless something else comes up that we decide to switch.
Yeah, we can piece it together. You know what? Just stick a placeholder here for whatever it is that we're gonna do next week, because we might figure out something. I don't know. Who knows? But that's for next week's us to figure out. You'll realize it whenever you see the thumbnail for the live stream.
Yeah.
But outside of that, thank you all so much for watching. We greatly appreciate it. Be sure to check us out on all of our socials, literally BnB Anime, everywhere except for TikTok, which is BnB.anime, where you can see all of our great new short form content. Or hell, even here on YouTube, we have great short form content. We've been making weekly reviews of shows. Again, that's where so much of my video editing time has gone, and it's fine. I don't need sleep. But no, I am beyond proud of those videos. They have been an absolute blast to make and try to like hone my craft for video editing. So no, it's been a lot of fun, and do check those out. Seeing those numbers tick up make the brain very, very happy. Give us the dopamine, damn it.
And with that, make sure you hit like and subscribe and leave us a comment. Tell us maybe what we should record next week, because we don't even know.
Yeah, or just, tell us your camping stories, because you've gotten our camping stories here and on every other episode of this that we've covered in the past.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.